Hey everyone, Anne O'Connell with OC Publishing here, and welcome to WIP Tips, helpful hints for your work in progress. We haven't done one of these in a while, so hopefully this will be a little helpful for you if you're in the process of writing your book, or if you're thinking about starting to write a book, or you're stuck in the middle and you just need to shake it up a little bit. And you're thinking, what can I do to keep rolling? How am I going to get new ideas, fresh ideas? And I just have a few things to share with you that I do that might help you, like I said, rattle the chains, or wash out the cobwebs, and get that work in progress rolling. I'm just going to bring up just a quick little screen here to keep me on track, because I love to share. So it could go on and on and on. So we do this and keep me on track. So this is about finding inspiration. So for me, there's 3 or 4 things, but we're gonna hone in on a few things that I use. So watching and listening is a really cool way. It's easy, walk out the door, and just in your daily life to sit and watch what's going on around you. Listen, intently to sights and sounds, or watch for sights and listen intently for sounds. You surreptitiously listen to conversations that might be going on around you, or even in a group that you're sitting in, because quite honestly, real life is stranger than fiction. Inspirational photos. I pull from photos all the time, whether I, find them on the internet or my own personal photos, and keep them handy as I need to pull on them to keep the creative juices flowing. We'll expand on that a little bit in a minute. Reading in your genre is really important, in my opinion. And some of my all-time favorites, of course, I write crime fiction, mystery, crime fiction, suspense, whatever. And some of my favorite authors include P.D. James, Patricia Cornwell, and Sue Grafton. And my main character in the series that I'm working on, in my mind, is sort of a mishmash, a sort of a melding of all of those authors' main characters. So Inspector Adam Dalgleish in P.D. James's novels, he's very serious, inspector and police officer, but he's also a poet. So my Susan Morris loves classical music and exploring museums and art and stuff like that. So that's the creative side. Patricia Cornwell's medical examiner case Scarpetta, it's that little medical piece of the puzzle that I love to pull from her. And my Susan, my main character, is a psychiatric nurse. And in the series, she's kind of taken a little bit of a break from that, but her medical background certainly lends itself to her moving into becoming, hopefully, maybe in the next book, but I'm working on number 3, but becoming a private investigator. So that's sort of a little bit of Sue Grafton's Kinsey Milhone. Now, Kinsey is kind of, I always think of her as kind of a cross between Columbo and Nancy Drew. So she's quirky and, stumbles a little bit. So I like that. My Susan is kind of like that. She's kind of muddling her way through, because she really isn't quite sure what she wants to do next. But, she's seriously thinking about becoming a private investigator. So when I go back to, watching and listening, both of my, the books that have already come out in the Deep Mystery series, Deep Deceit, a little bit of self-promotion here. Sorry, shameless self-promotion. Both of them are based on actual true stories. I mean, like I take little kernels of true stories, and of course, then I blow them way out of proportion. So Deep Deceit is, at the time, what inspired me or triggered the idea was it was a true story about teens being jailed for drunk drinking because public displays of intoxication and uh, public displays of affection are against the law in Dubai, which is where these books were set. And there were hotels that were popular for prostitution. So there's little nuggets that are woven into Deep Deceit based on those true news items that happened when I was living there. Deep Freeze also based on true stories of maids going missing and wealthy people paying for organ transplants. So really, if you pay attention to what's going on around you and hone in on something that's happening in real life, and then build your story from that, that has worked for me really well before. And just some of my inspiration photos for the project I'm working on right now. So the third in the Deep Mysteries series, I've Susan, my main character, the protagonist, has left Dubai and she's now spending some time in Paris. So which is where the next book is set. And I just love Paris. There's so much around Paris, the characters, the architecture, you just absorb yourself in the environment. So these particular photos, so the one at the top of that amazing building, it was a mansion at one point, built by a gentleman named Edouard Andre, and he married a woman named Nelly Jacquemont, and that is the museum, Musée Jacquemont Andre, and it's a very strong focal point in my next book. I love this museum. I've been to it several times. Shakespeare and Company is my favorite bookstore in the whole wide world. It is in Paris, and there will be a scene that revolves around Shakespeare and Company. And the bottom right picture is, of course, of the Seine and some of the bouquinistas, the artists that that sell their wares on the Seine. So there's, of course, it's called Deep Rivers. So there's a lot of sort of nuance, both obvious and not so obvious, subtle, that revolve around the river. And the old picture, bottom left, is what used to be a humongous funeral home in the early 1900s, where they brought their dead. There were people dying of scarlet fever, but this particular building is now this amazing, it's called the 104 or Le 104 performance space. And so I'm not going to, no spoilers, but a lot of the story revolves around that. So I keep these images handy. And just the other day, I was, sort of pondering, I was sitting there with my document open and wondering where I was going to go. And I pulled out some of those images of Le 104 in particular, because there was a scene that I was sort of struggling with and couldn't quite figure out where it was going to go. And I started looking at these archival photos of Le 104, and all of a sudden this idea hit me. And personally, I think it's brilliant, but we'll see how it all unfolds, because we all know sometimes the most brilliant ideas you might get sort of cut at the end. But it shook the chains, and I was able to get back down to writing. So I think those are the things that I like to focus on. And perhaps just to refresh this, watching and listening, life is stranger than fiction, using inspirational photos, and reading in your genre. So those are the tips for today. And I hope that whatever you're working on is coming along, and I hope that this was helpful. And we'll say goodbye for now, and stay tuned for the next author journey or the next WIP tip, helpful hints for your work in progress. Hopefully you're having a great day, and keep on writing and let me know what you're working on. So we'll see you next time on WIP Tips.